Stream. Hopefully we're live. That would be embarrassing if we're not. We should be though. Yes, we should be good. Yay. Oh, our bitrate is too low. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't seem right, YouTube. Can you guys like see me and hear me okay? Okay, looks like we're good. Hi! Oh my gosh, thank you guys. So many of you were waiting. Let's pop out the chat here so we can look at everyone. Hello, Brittany. Hello, Angelica. Hello, Lillian. Hello, Maya. Hello, Sophie. Hello, Willow. Hello, Little Kitten. Hello, Dahlia. Hello, Dr. Panther. Hello, Michael. Hello, Berkalock. Hello, World of Dawn. Hello, Poppy. Hello, Carolina. Hello, Angie. Hello, Ace Overlord. Welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna chew on ice for a second by accident. Accidental ASMR. So what do we think? I'm kind of I have no reason to go out, so I like put on a birthday outfit just to feel like an adult lady cuz now I'm 27. I'm officially in my late 20s, which I feel is it's the peak of everything. The late 20s were the time of my life I was always looking forward to the most because you're mature, but you're still young and free. And, well, I don't know how mature I actually am. We'll see what I say in 10 years. We'll see what I say in 10 years. But, this is what I was waiting for. So here's the outfit. I don't know how I can show this. I'll move for a second. I'm wearing a jumpsuit. Never owned a jumpsuit before in my life. I have this like leafy bracelet. This is my favorite thing ever. Is this necklace? It's with tiny flowers. So yeah, here we go. This is the outfit. I am super excited about it. I got if you guys ever heard of Stitch Fix before, you guys know what that is? I when I had a vanilla job, I would use that occasionally for sorry, I feel like my audio is speaking. Give me I'm just like I have a fan on. Hopefully you guys can't hear it, but it is pretty loud. So, what was he saying? Oh, I got this from Stitch Fix, this jumpsuit. I used to have it years ago when I still had a vanilla job and I had to get work clothes obviously. And I haven't had it in 3 or 4 years and I tried it again cuz I wanted date night clothes for going out and going to munches and meeting people. I just like my wardrobe is like 80% like casual goth and BDSM party clothes at this point because I've just recycled a lot of stuff and sold stuff and everything else. So I don't have like mature lady date night clothes. So we've got to that, and I love the fetish wear, but sometimes you don't want to go to a bar and be wearing a latex mini skirt and a sheer blouse. It might be a little bit too much for most places. So I like it so far. This was like my favorite thing I got from there. And I got a pair of like really dark purple skinny jeans, which were a little bit expensive, but I've never seen dark purple. Dark purple is one of my favorite colors, so I was super stoked about that. Don't get drunk and try to pee in a public restroom without a friend as a backup. Good point. Good point, Angie. Your makeup is so bright. Thank you. I wanted to just do something that matched the colors on this, and frankly, it's a lot easier to do something like this than it is my usual filming makeup. Like this takes me 20 minutes, half an hour instead of 45 minutes or an hour, which is what it would normally take for my usual makeup that's more detailed. So, you guys want to see the dark purple skinny jeans? Okay. They're inside out. Give me a second. See, look. Ta-da. They're like a really nice, like dark red eggplant purple, which I really, really like because so much purple is like a very blue purple, which, well, I mean, look at the color scheme of my live stream. It's like kind of my color, but I haven't ever seen anything that's that shade. So I was like, yes, perfect. We love it. Thank you guys, thank you so much for all the birthday wishes. So amazing. Thank you guys for being here today. So we're gonna keep it classic. We're doing just a regular Q&A just to hang out and have fun. I'm not really doing anything special. We're just here to have a fun time. So I guess, yeah, I am a Cancer. So for people who want to know my full zodiac, here's the full answer, one time only. Psychoanalyze me as you will. I am Cancer Sun, Gemini Moon, and Virgo Rising. I don't know what that means. If you know, please tell me. People seem to be interested in that, and I know nothing. So the one thing that we are doing is there's a really great Taiwanese place that has vegan Taiwanese stuff near me. And so we have a peach iced green tea with grass jelly, of course. Paper straw, which I wish I had a metal one. Oh, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Emma. It was, that sticker is great. It reminds me of Mulan. Thank you so much. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. That will more than pay for my Taiwanese food. So we have, again, we have the peach tea, and then we have some vegan buns. Okay, that was a little aggressive with opening it. So we have, I don't know how appetizing this looks at all, but there you go. We got some vegan buns. The green ones are like a mushroom filling. There's a brown sugar bun and a taro bun. Thank you so much. Oh, great dogs. That's an amazing name. Thank you. So my actual birthday is the 5th. FYI, we are celebrating it a little bit early because I am actually going to be house sitting for a friend from the 5th to the 11th, and I'm going to be out in the woods. I'm going to try and film videos when I'm down there. I don't know how it's going to work out. I'm hoping I'm going to find a nice spot outside where I can film and do some. I really like it. Do you guys watch Rob Beauty Christie at all? I love her. Rob Beauty Christie is so, so sweet. I'm so happy she finally had a baby, and we actually live in the same state, which is really funny. And I really like it when she does casual talking videos and Q&As outside. And I don't have a yard, so I can't do that, but this is like a nice little area. I thought we could maybe try to do like a Q&A or just something fun, just like cute casual videos. Oh, thank you so much, Michael. The hippo. Thank you. I love it. So cute. So I thought we could do, I'm going to post probably on Instagram and then maybe on the community tab on YouTube when I decide what I want to do. I think one of them will be a Q&A maybe, and the other one will be like a hot take video. So like you'll send me your hot takes and I'll react to them or something else. Like if people want a particular kind of like one of those casual YouTuber videos, I would really love to do one of those. So I'm going to start with one of the vegan buns. I don't know how messy this is going to be. I do have I don't know how to do a mukbang. So we're not doing a mukbang, but I wanted to do something that wasn't me eating cake. So here we are. I do stream often. I stream every Friday, usually. Not next week because I'm going to be house sitting. But I do stream on Fridays at 6 p.m. And I do 2 extra streams every week for Patreon. Yes, the sun has orbited around 1 full time since the last time it was my birthday. Correct. I'm so happy you guys liked the video I did with Brittany about rejection and dating and everything. That was a really fun conversation. I have to tell you though, I had problems editing it because I said the word like a lot, so many times. And this is partly why I moved to do more scripted content versus entirely off the cuff, is because I just cannot train myself to never say the word like. And I said it so many times in that video, I was like, oh God, is going to be so annoying to everyone. And it took me a long time to edit it because I just had to stop because it would annoy me so much hearing my own voice. I'm like, oh my god, everyone's going to hate this. So, yeah. That's why we do the more scripted things first, so I don't get lost in La La Land and having to use a bunch of stops to try and get my mouth to catch up to my brain, which has always been a problem. Yeah, I feel like jumpsuits aren't really a good idea to wear at a bar. I don't think I'd wear this one to a bar date. I'd probably wear this one to like a park maybe, like walking around, something like that. Okay. Trying to catch up on the chat. Just dropping by to say happy birthday and thanks for the BDSM info. It is really helpful to a dom in training. Thank you so much. That is always my goal, and the more people I can help, the better, in my opinion. How do you figure that out? I only know my horoscope based on my birthday. If you know the location and the time of day you were born, there are calculators that you can do online where you input that information and then it'll tell you your rising and your moon sign as well as your sun sign. So it's a little bit more complicated, but luckily I just have always known that information, so it was simple enough. I don't know what my Venus is in. How do I know what my Venus is in? I feel like I found that out before at some point. I wanted to say that was also Virgo. I'm not sure. Mmm. Virgo rising is very particular, tend to overthink, can be nerdy in a great way, have anxiety, attracted to earthly things. Or earthy things, not earthly. Mmm. I do tend to overthink, and I feel like my channel is just me being nerdy about BDSM, so that makes sense. I never got to get any of the palettes from Rob Beauty Christie. I haven't really bought any new makeup palettes. The most recent stuff I've bought in terms of eyeshadow has been there's an indie brand that's called Give Me Glow Cosmetics. And I got some of their, like, basically, you get to create your own palette with their individual pans. And I really, really love their eyeshadows. And so I got eyeshadows that I liked. And I'm actually wearing two of them on my eyes today. If you like how these look, they're there. And I really enjoy them and they're good. And I think I can't think of any other eyeshadow I would want to buy that's even on my radar that's not just getting more of the Give Me Glow eyeshadow, like individual singles. Does anyone here follow the Hyperion community? I don't know what that is. I actually don't know what the word Hyperion means. Let's Google that and find out. Let's learn something today. Looks like it's a science fiction novel? That can't be a whole YouTube community, can it? Oh, is Great Dogs like an actual, like, YouTube channel? Like, not just a random person with a great username? I'll check him out. I'll put him, let's put him in the search bar. Why? Okay, I want to find channels. Why does this not pop up when I search for it? I mean, the one that I found looks like it's literally just dogs doing dog stuff. What up? If you like dogs doing dog stuff, I guess check it out. How does it feel to turn 22 again? It feels amazing. I feel like I'm on this very upward path of where I'm supposed to be in life, and I am happy about it. I used to feel a lot of anxiety about turning 30, and then everyone I know that's cool is over the age of 30, and then I stopped worrying about it. Everyone I know that's in my life that's like, I mean, I have a couple of friends that are close to my age, but almost everyone I know is in their 30s and like 10 years older than I am, so I just stopped caring. Why is it so messy? What are some good basic self rope rigs I could try? Also, is sleeping in a rig by yourself super dumb? I'm assuming by rig. So I'm gonna take this last bite and then we're gonna answer that question. So I'm assuming by self rig, what you mean is doing a self tie. Rigging normally implies going up in the air. That doesn't always have to, but usually the connotation of rigging is actually lifting someone up into the air. You can do self ties, especially if you're doing it alone. I would never recommend doing any self ties when you are isolated, like no one else is around, or when you're going to be sleeping. Because, especially when you're newer to it, it's really easy to make something that starts to cinch. And also, I don't know what the term for this is, but like if there's an endema, I think. I don't know if there's another word for it that's more accurate to this in particular, but your body does alter its fluid retention over the course of the day. And so, what might be nice and loose and comfortable to start out with, as your water retention goes up, is going to become very tight and uncomfortable and put more pressure on you. So, it's better to do stuff that's short term. I would never say that you could never ever do anything sleeping in bondage, but it is riskier and it's not something I would do without a partner around. I have done bondage while asleep that was a single column ankle tie, like around my ankle, and then tied to a bedpost. But the way that that was constructed was a tie that we had done a bunch of times together. My partner was literally right next to me. There was actually a safety, like catch release built into it, where it was like a panic snap ring, where if something needed to come off immediately, it wouldn't even have to be untied. Literally, that panic snap ring would just come off and it would be done. And it was done in a way where it is virtually impossible for that particular tie to cinch down. Thank you so much, Ada. So I would say I would not start out with doing something that you would sleep on. I'm not saying it's super dumb, but it's probably a bad idea. If you live somewhere that does have a local community that has rope jams and social events, I would really recommend starting out by going to those public social events where you will be around other people that are tying, because they will have really helpful feedback and can assist you and are just there also for safety reasons, because even when you are tying alone, it is quite risky. But as far as good basic self things to do, I would start with basic single column ties, so like stuff that goes around the wrist or the ankle, or double column ties, so for example, like around the thighs or around the ankles. And those are really good places to start. You could also do what are called hands-free chest harnesses or certain leg ties as well. So many good resources for that out there if you want to learn how to do basic rope bondage. And I'm actually going to be doing like several videos, like 3 or 4 videos, where I go over a lot of stuff about rope bondage, because there's been a lot of conversation about that recently. So don't worry, there's going to be literally 2 weeks of rope bondage content coming out very soon here. But if you want to have some basic resources just right now, again, in the future, in videos that are coming soon, I'm going to have everything linked. But off the top of my head, I would say theduchy.com, Remedial Ropes, basically anything that Shay Tizano has ever posted, Suspended Animation. What are the other? I think the Kink Academy also has some good things. Anything Bar Gargone, Shibari Study, and then there's another YouTube channel. Give me a second. I'm gonna link this YouTube channel because they've been very consistent with making content, which is what typically prevents me from recommending channels, is if they make one video and never again. That's not enough for me to really judge anything by. But I have been impressed with their stuff so far. It's called Bondage Tuition. And everything that I've seen them make seems to be really well constructed and just be overall a good conversation. They actually have a video that I wanted to watch but I haven't yet that's called Kink Negotiation Without the BS. So if you guys are not familiar with this channel, please check it out. I'm going to link them right now in the chat. And those are all like good places, but obviously none of this should ever be considered a substitute for real life education. That is the most important thing. That is going to be what helps you the most and is going to be the safest. I really still don't recommend doing bondage alone. Always have safety shears. If you're tying alone, have a safe call. Now, if you're doing really basic stuff like single and double column ties, you probably don't need to go that far as long as you have easily accessible safety shears or things to cut yourself out of the rope with. But if you're doing anything more advanced than that and you're doing stuff you haven't tried before that's a little bit more risky, definitely make sure somebody knows what you're doing and where you are, because the number, I'm not kidding, I'm so serious right now, I'm so serious. The number one way that people die doing BDSM is doing rope bondage alone. The number one way. So that is why I am so serious about safety when it comes to doing anything bondage related alone, is because that is how people die. It's not from flogging, it's not from whips, it's from doing bondage alone. Of course, there are other circumstances that go along with that, like people combining it with breathplay, people coming up with really impossible to escape scenarios, and kind of trapping themselves into a self-asphyxiating. This is why I edit my videos. Self-asphyxiate. I know the word. My tongue is not cooperating right now. But in any case, a position where it becomes very difficult for you to be able to breathe and then be able to roll yourself over to be able to actually like breathe freely again. Like those things are very risky. Again, sorry, I'm going on a ramble. This is all going to be in videos later this week, but well, not later this week. I shouldn't promise that. I still have to make thumbnails for them, so I don't know when they're going to come out. Listen. It's funny though, because California is like the one place I haven't lived. I sincerely don't know where I picked it up. Because I've never lived in California before. It's just me. But I don't say I used to say quite a bit more than I do now. But because like is actually a word, it's a lot harder to get my brain to stop saying it, because it's just like, oh, a word, I'm saying a word. It doesn't register the same way. It really jolted me though, seeing rejection as a relaxing good thing and not as a failure. I mean, it's a pretty like revolutionary topic when you think about it. And I am certainly not a master of that, because Brittany saying that was also the first time that I had really understood rejection in that exact way. But it is true though, because it's about you being free to be you, the other person being free to be them. And if those things don't line up, then why waste your time? And maybe this is me officially being in my late 20s and still dating. but I sincerely do not have time to fuck around with people that I'm not compatible with. And so for me, it just makes sense that rejection is something that shouldn't be seen as like a failure or bad, but it's an opportunity to recognize that something wouldn't have worked out in the way that we would have wanted it to if things had gone past that point. I mean, if you are really into somebody and they totally reject you outright, like it still hurts. It still sucks, but it doesn't have to suck as badly as it might. And being able to free yourself from that is amazing. Okay, I'm gonna have the taro bun now. What does this remind me of? Not a pierogi. Crab rangoon, maybe? Mmm, it's very firm. Mmm, but it's sweet though. Mmm, vanilla question. How do you like to be hit on? See, step one to that is me recognizing I'm being hit on. I had this conversation with somebody the other day where we were talking about, oh, you know, women get catcalled all the time, and that's part of being a woman in the world and walking around. And I sincerely couldn't really remember any times that I had been hit on. I have been, or catcalled, I guess more accurately, not just hit on. And when I have been catcalled, it has been, I have two memories in college of I was walking home from work from the bus stop, and it was a group of guys driving somewhere in a car, and they would slow down when they got close to me, and then they would yell something to the effect of, hey, don't you know it's not Halloween anymore? Or just vague screaming, and then keep going. And I'm like, they didn't really say anything sexual. They didn't wolf whistle. They didn't proposition me. They just kind of bullied me and then ran away. Does that count as catcalling? But I can't really think of a time where that's happened. I think what usually ends up happening is I recognize a conversation with somebody I'm talking to is going in a more flirtatious, like sexual direction. I've had this happen the most often when I am, of all things, volunteering at play parties, and a newer D type guy will be talking to me because I usually social DM, so I'm a person that goes around and makes sure everyone's having a nice time, and I answer questions about the community and things like that. And because I'm like open and willing to answer questions, people take this in this like personal direction, especially when they find out I'm submissive, and it gets really uncomfortable really fast. And I usually try to flit around and be part of many different conversations and monitor people. And so I usually just like, oh hey, it was nice talking to you. I gotta go check in over here. Bye, and then I then I leave. But so, anyways, that is all to say that I don't have a lot of experience where I can recall being hit on to even know what I like or don't like. But I would say if I did like it, well, I probably I say I like directness. I don't know if this counts as being hit on. I like it when people ask me very directly, like, "Hey, you seem really cool. I think we might get along. Do you want to go out on a date?" I don't know if that counts as being hit on, but I like very direct and to the point. I don't want to waste time. I want to be able to say yes or no. I want to know enough about the person to have an understanding if I want to say yes or no, but I don't want to be fucking around for like months on end talking to somebody and then find out that we don't actually want to go on dates with each other and it was just like friendly talking if the intention wasn't for that to be what it was. So I like directness. I would probably say stuff that's more like romantic oriented, I guess, as opposed to like physically oriented would be better. So like I don't want people to like comment stuff about me physically usually. Like it was something about how nice the conversation we had was or something about I don't know, my brain that they liked. That is much more appealing to me than physical stuff. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I am. Thank you so much, LJC Pineapple.
LJC donated $10. Happy birthday, Evie. Thank you for everything you do in the community, and you look so pretty tonight. Do you
Oh,
have anything exciting plans with COVID restrictions being lifted? Or are you staying pretty much bunkered down at home?
okay. I hope you guys could hear that, but what they said was, "Happy birthday!" And do I have any plans for COVID restrictions opening up? Anything fun? I am doing something fun. It isn't really COVID restriction related because it is mostly outdoors, but I am going on a trip in mid-July to the coast. So I'm going to be in a different city for 2 days, and then I'm going to be at the beach for 3 days, and then I'm going home. I'm not flying anywhere. I'm just driving. It's not that far away. But I am going to be on the coast. I'm going to be at the beach. I have missed the beach so freaking much. You guys don't know. The beach is my favorite place. I love waking up. I'm going to literally look up the tide chart for the place I'm going to. I'm going to figure out when the tides are. I'm going to go out before anybody else is awake and just try to have a really, really fun time. The one thing I'm worried about doing that is Bandit's leg is still bothering her. I'm legit. I'm like, I'm gonna buy a dog harness to wear and put Bandit in a dog harness and carry her around the beach if like her leg isn't better. Because I don't think by that point, I need to figure out with the vet if they're gonna do surgery on her knee when that's gonna happen. Because I'm still not sure at this point. But it's gonna have to happen eventually. Like it's, I hope that there will be enough time for her to recover and not be in like a little doggy cast before I go. But because I'm house sitting for the next week, also there's only like a couple days in between that and when I'm leaving to go on that trip, so it's gonna be hectic. It's gonna be a hectic month. July is, but that's my main thing. My local community is taking its sweet fucking time opening back up again. I'll tell you that much. It The last thing that happened in terms of my community having any indications that any parties or anything are going to come back is I did a poll where they asked community members, if we open back up again, what do you think about these things, right? So they asked about social distancing and mask wearing and vaccination records, party capacity, which parties should come back. And they're saying that they could come back sometime this year, but they haven't said when. As far as I know, they still have the space where the parties are hosted because it's also used for other reasons by the owner, so it actually hasn't closed down or gone away or been sold. It's still there. But they are still doing like virtual munches. I think they are doing in person classes, is the first thing they're doing again. But the one class I saw that they're doing is like a technical rigging class. So that's like the actual physics of how to put people in the air and the math behind all of that. And it's like, that sounds great. Really good information. Not me. So they are opening up really, really slowly. There is another dungeon that is farther south than that. I want to say it's like an hour away from me, and they are reopening a little bit, but the venue is tiny. It is small, small, small. And so they're only doing things invite only right now. And I only went there a couple of times because it's so far away and the other places open and closer. So they're only doing invite only at this point. And I haven't been there in like 2 years, so I don't even know what it's like at this point. But yeah, when stuff does open back up again, I check FetLife like every other day, and I check all my local boards and everything, and I'm pestering people. I'm like, when's stuff gonna happen? Do you need my help? Because I'm super happy to help if people need help organizing stuff, doing whatever. But nothing. Taking their sweet time. Apparently, Hyperionism is like a thing. I sincerely have never heard this before. What is this? Googling it. Oh, okay. It's the signs of the future that proves the shocking truth That the world is not material, but a collective dream. The so-called matter is an illusion, and the ultimate reality is the domain of a pure mind. I'm gonna say I've never heard of that before, but I'm all for metaphysics, I suppose. If that's what you're into. All right, well, first of all, ask more questions, but also answer more questions. Oh, he does paddles and impact play toys under Naughty Dogs and Etsy. That is amazing. I think if you post a link, YouTube will just automatically flag it as spam, but if I catch it, I should be able to unblock the message if you want to put a link for that. It was more meant as a general people hitting other people tips. Yeah, I feel like genuine nice like comments or compliments is a good way to go. And there are definitely people that appreciate like physical hitting on things where they like having stuff about their body physically complimented, but I think the much safer route is always to go with a sincere compliment that doesn't involve other people's bodies. And some people do like cheesy pickup lines and find them funny if you use them kind of ironically. I think that can be fun sometimes, but it totally depends on the individual person, which is why it's so hard to predict and make a general statement about people like being hit on this way. It's a little bit easier to put boundaries over, like, you should probably stay away from that, but saying what is good to do can be a little bit trickier. And as somebody that is asexual and doesn't really hit on people, it's a little bit hard. I was wondering if you know any good resources for switch relationships or dynamics. I can't. Hurry, give me a second. I'm sliding off my chair. All right, we're resuming the sitting like L position, I think. So, I don't know anybody on YouTube that really talks about I'm gonna call them double switch relationships. I don't know if there's a better term for that. I don't know anybody that has any focus on that. I would say your best bet for anything like that is going to be discussion groups and communities on FetLife. I am sure there are very popular writings on FetLife that talk about two switch relationships. I should put that on my to-do list for a video because I do think that is important to talk about. I have a really old video where I talk about switches that's literally like 4 years old at this point. If I remember the points I make in there correctly, I think I do talk about two switch relationships a little bit, but it's not the focus of the conversation because it's just a general like what is being a switch thing. It's not a how to have a relationship as two switches because that is a little bit difficult. It is a difficult thing to navigate at times, especially if you both lean towards the same side of the slash. And I'll put it on my to-do list to make a video talking about that in detail because I know a lot of people struggle with having both sides of their slash needs met for both people in the relationship. There is always going to be that give and take, but it's about balancing the give and take so no one is being left out and no one is being made to do something that makes them feel uncomfortable like too much. Sorry, that last piece was like really chewy for some reason. This wins the award for weirdest thing that YouTube has ever blocked in a live stream before. So, Alex said, special shout out to Viet Thai food. That shit's sweet and savory and fruity, super good. I have no idea why YouTube blocked that at all. I think maybe because it says special shout out to, Maybe YouTube assumed it was going to be a spam thing. I don't know. I love Thai food. I don't have Vietnamese food very often because I have the gene that makes cilantro taste like soap. It is That's my one weird fact about me. It is a thing. Everyone in my family pretty much has it. And legit, it makes cilantro taste like soap. And a lot of Vietnamese food uses cilantro in it. That, and I have family members that are allergic to peanuts. So between the cilantro and the peanut thing, it was just never a thing we had growing up, and I haven't really had it a lot as an adult. But Thai food's really good, for sure. I tried a vegan rice pudding recipe the other day that was super delicious. What is the website where that's on? Vegan. It was like the easiest thing that I've ever made in my whole life. Because sometimes, so it's from here, I'm going to put this in the chat as well, because why not? Confuse YouTube with all the links I'm sending that don't make any sense. So I never grew up having rice pudding. That wasn't like a thing we had, but I wanted stuff that was cold to eat because we had that crazy heat wave. And so I got popsicles, I got jello, like vegan jello, not like jello brand jello. And I also wanted some other things to make that would be cold that I could keep in the fridge or the freezer. And rice pudding came up. And if you guys eat vegan stuff, you know, like stuff that would cost you $2 for the non-vegan version is like $6 or $8 for the vegan version. And I had originally ordered vegan like rice pudding cups when I got my last grocery order, and it was literally 2 cups of vegan rice pudding. So it's like it was like half a cup worth of actual like content volume wise, and it was literally like $6. And I was like, what the fuck? So I looked up a recipe for it. It's so easy. It's coconut milk. I used like a light coconut milk. You can also use full fat coconut milk if you want. Rice, I used like short grain sushi rice, and then a little bit of sugar, vanilla extract, and salt. And that's like pretty much it. You can add in like vegan butter, and you can use like instead you add water as well, obviously, but you can also use like almond milk or soy milk instead of the water if you want it to be like really really creamy. It was the rice super freaking cheap, and coconut milk also super cheap. I made probably 8 or I have the recipe, and I still probably made 8 servings of rice pudding for like $4, maybe, if that. I don't. The only thing I had to buy that was extra that I didn't already have in my kitchen was the coconut milk. Like the can, you want to get like the canned coconut milk. It'll say in the recipe if you want to look at it. So good. And the reason I bring that up is because it's made with coconut milk. It tastes exactly like mango sticky rice, except not sticky and without the mango. So if you like the coconutty, creamy, I know that I've had coconut or mango sticky rice both hot and chilled. If you like chilled, like sweet sticky rice with mango, very similar to that, but not sticky, like creamier consistency. And you can add mango to it, fruit. It's really, really good. It's a great chilled summer thing. And you can also have it hot as well, like fresh from the pot. Super good. Anyways, that was my most recent vegan cooking adventure. Just on impulse, because I wanted to. Any ways to meet people in the scene from home due to COVID? That is a great question. I'm going to eat this last bite and I'm going to answer it. Okay. Taro bun gets a 10 out of 10 for taste and a 7 out of 10 for texture. Because I like the texture of the taro inside, but the bun was like too thick and like too sticky firm. I think it was overworked. It tastes like the dough was overworked. Me and my professional ass pastry review because I watch way too much Great British Bake Off. I'm literally gonna watch Great British Bake Off after I do this live stream while I make thumbnails. This is my secret, guys. When I'm doing YouTube stuff that's not editing a video, like if I'm writing a script or answering emails or making thumbnails or answering comments, I put on either Great British Bake Off or I watch YouTube drama. Those are the two things. Because they're equally like mindless and comforting at the same time. Great British Bake Off is definitely more comfort stuff, but YouTube drama is like an endless pit of pointlessness. I wouldn't say it's always pointless, like when it comes to James Charles sexting 15-year-olds or Gabby Hanna misusing the word narcissist like 80,000 times in one video. Those are more serious because they relate to like mental health topics and consent and things that I care about as a content creator. But most of the time, it's like, I don't give a fuck what Austin McBroom or whoever the fuck that guy is doing. What do you mean Logan Paul is boxing professionally? That doesn't make any sense. And so I can just have it on in the background as like humans talking to me because I live alone and I talk to my dog all day. So that's what I do. That's my secret. Anyways, whoa, totally just went off on a ramble there. I meant to answer a question. So, anyways, to meet people in the scene from home due to COVID. So, the ways that I have had success meeting people during COVID has been through two avenues. If you want to do more datey stuff, like if you're looking for like a DS partner, if you're looking for somebody that's going to be more of a romantic vanilla connection or a sexual connection as well as a BDSM one, I would recommend OkCupid because the way that OkCupid works, I should back up a little bit. So the way that OkCupid works versus places like Tinder or other more like sex like quick app focused dating sites is you answer questions and you fill out like a detailed profile. And through answering those questions, there are a lot of ones that are kink related, like a surprising number for the average person and like how kinky most people are. There's quite a few about that. You can also be like openly polyamorous on OkCupid and have open relationships, which is really good to have as well. And so I just put on my profile like I'm kinky, I'm poly, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. I'm very direct. Like I'm just like, if you're not into these things, if you're not okay with them, just like move along, no big deal. So I focus on answering the BDSM related questions. I put on my profile that I'm kinky. This is the thing though. This is the key. This is where people fuck up. I swear to God, one day I'm gonna make a video about this. Mark my words. People think that being openly kinky on OkCupid means having a profile picture that's them in like full body latex or a gimp suit or a gag. Don't do that. Unnecessary. Show that you are a well-rounded individual that is not just a fetish object. Save those pictures for FetLife, because this is my technique. Just put normal ass fucking okay for Facebook pictures on your OkCupid actual profile. Put in the words on your profile that you're kinky or into BDSM or DS or whatever. Don't spend like your whole profile talking about it, but if that's what you want, like put it out there right away and then spend the rest of your profile talking about how you're just not just BDSM. And then when you match with people, like check to make sure that they're also kinky, or even especially because I am a female that is on a dating website, I do tend to get a lot of messages first. And so even if somebody doesn't have that they're kinky in their profile, they may DM you, message you, and say, hey, I like your profile. I'm also into BDSM. And then you can go from a conversation from there. And then if you decide you like this person and you may be compatible, then you go on to sharing the FetLife information and the kinks and the more detailed things you're into. I have had success finding people that way. Personally, it does take like a bit of work and sorting through if that's the only thing that you want is kink and BDSM. If you want something that's more direct, you want to cut out the middleman and the matching and everything, but it is a little bit more risky in terms of the quality of people that will message you, is you can also just, I guess you said meet people in the scene, which is maybe different from finding a play partner, so I'm going to get to that as well. is you can post on personal boards on FetLife. So FetLife has groups and discussion boards and things like that, and you can search your local area, either your city or a greater geographic range if you're not in a big city. So Minnesota Kinksters or whatever, I don't know. Something like that. Look for groups like that. They will usually have a personals area or a personals board. You can say, hey, I'm so and so. This is who I am. This is what I'm looking for. And you can post ads. I do know people that have found play partnerships because of that and found relationships because of that. You will have to sort through a lot of weird, creepy messages and people that you're not going to be compatible with. But it is a good way to get your name out there and show people that you're looking. If you just want to meet people, you're not looking to date, you're not looking for a play partner, you just want to meet people, FetLife is still going to be the way to do that. I know this answer seems really repetitive and like, oh my gosh, of course, but sincerely, that is the way to do it. Go to your local area, search for events by your local area on FetLife. There will be online munches, there are online discussion groups. You meet people through there, you go to Zoom calls, you hang out with people. They will usually have somebody that's either hosting a smaller munch or a Discord chat or fucking somebody who streams on Twitch and everyone hangs out together or has a gaming group or something. But you meet people that way and you get your foot in the door, and it could take a while to find a group that you really mesh with, but chances are you will eventually find a group that works for you if you search wide enough. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example of where this would work. So I know for like Midwestern Kinksters, like people that are in like Chicago, Cincinnati, like that whole area, I know a lot of places have closed down recently. And so you may have to search outside of your immediate area. So you might have to search in like Chicago and Cincinnati and other cities. I don't know, Ann Arbor. Sorry, I'm not great with names. I'm not sure what else is out there. What's near? Because Chicago is so big as far as the kink community goes. Like, if you can't find something in Chicago, we're all just fucked at this point. We're all nothing is going well for anyone. Oh, Milwaukee would be close by. Grand Rapids, Indianapolis. I guess Ann Arbor actually isn't as far away from Chicago as I thought it was. I just put it out there. But yeah, there even Detroit even. If you really wanted to get wild and funky with your travel, you can get expanded out eventually to where you'll find a group that'll work for you. And as far as a long distance relationship goes, something that's across a single state line is not that complicated compared to a lot of people's relationships. Oh, thank you so much, Whistler. Happy birthday. Also, cilantro soap gene. Oh, yeah, I have never met anybody else that also has the same gene. Most people are like, what are you talking about? And let me tell you, it ruins a dish. Like when I order fresh rolls to bite into a fresh roll and be like, yes, good. Carrot, tofu, we love it. And then take another bite and then have it suddenly be soap. Just ruins the whole experience. Mm. Okay. Next question. Okay. I do also have a bento box here, so I'm gonna check that out. So this is like tofu, broccoli, rice, and then I don't know what this other stuff is that's like soft. I think that might be potato. Mmm. It might actually be. I don't know if that's potato or not. Well, whatever it is, it's good. I commented and then my internet went out. Forest fires have been messing. Listen, don't worry about it. I know the fires are crazy. And if you missed your comment, feel free to ask again. I promise I will not be upset. Hmm. Thank you for being here, Brittany. Love you. I will talk to you soon. Okay, let's see. Could you tell us some good places to purchase rope? So the only current place that I buy rope from is Twisted Monk. There are definitely other places that you can buy from that exist. There's like S&M rope, there's Minawashi, there's Dijoto, there's Not Normal. There's a bunch of places you can get rope from. However, the only one that I can speak to the actual quality of is Twisted Monk. They literally have everything you could ever want. They have hemp, they have bamboo, they have posh. I know people really like jute. I get it. I understand. Personally, I don't tie with jute because that shit gets worn out easily. It needs constant maintenance. People use shit that's too weak for the kind of suspension and bondage they're doing. I vastly prefer, honestly, if I could pick any single rope to have as like a full kit, it would be posh. It would be posh rope. I know this is like probably my most controversial rope opinion, but having used literally every rope under the sun at this point, posh is my favorite. Has a really good hand feel. It is very, very strong. It's very solid. So if you're worried about wearing out your rope very quickly, posh is going to do better at that than a natural fiber rope. If you have somebody that has skin sensitivities to natural fiber rope, posh is better on that. And I really, really like posh. I really like it. I think, as far as I know of places that sell it, I know somewhere else does, but I know Twisted Monk has it. I don't know if they make it in shorter lengths. I know they have it in 30 foot, but I don't know what else they make it in. And it comes in a lot of fun colors, not as many as you would get from jute or hemp, but really solid. I like hemp as well. A lot of people don't like it because it's slower. It has a grassy smell to it, apparently, which I've never noticed. And if I have noticed it, I've liked it, so it's not a problem for me. But some people don't like that. I also vastly prefer whipped ends over knotted ends, which is what Twisted Monk does. The reason for that is everyone I've ever known that has ever had a rope jam in a critical way, it's been because of fucking knotted ends. And I just think that whipped ends, if they're done well, are preferable to knotted ends. People like knotted ends because it's traditional. That's the only reason. If you think differently, please let me know if you prefer knotted ends for another reason besides that's the way the true shibari masters do it, or that's the way I was taught to have my rope. I like whipped ends because they are faster to use. They don't jam as easily. They just work. So that's why I like Twisted Monk. I know the Jodo also does make rope. I have heard that as a human that may have consent issues. This is years ago, so I don't remember the particulars of it. So I've just kind of stayed away from Jodo related stuff. But those are the only ones that I like have purchased from before that I can personally speak to the quality of. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Twisted Monk is the rope that Mr. S carries, which I think says a lot. What the heck? Sorry, I don't mean to be gross, but like, there was like something weird in the food I just ate, and I had to get it out of my mouth. It was like stringy and crunchy. I don't know what the fuck was up with that. Anyways, so next question is, got an opinion on epoxy knives. Have I ever used an epoxy knife before? Let me check. Because there's one place I'm thinking of. I don't know if that technically counts as epoxy. Do you mean like acrylic? Is epoxy something different? Okay, so it's like a resin. Okay. So Holo Leather, I'm gonna put a link again, don't worry. I'll put a link to Twisted Monk as well while I'm at it. So I know Holo Leather has acrylic knives, and I've always enjoyed like how pretty they are. I like the aesthetic of them. I've never used one before, but I have really wanted to. So I don't have any like experience-based opinions about them. I would just treat them the way that I would a regular metal knife probably. I don't know if they have any particular sanitization requirements that would prevent you from using one between partners. But I can see why they would be appealing, and I like that they come in different colors and they seem fun. And if you have metal allergies, maybe it's a good alternative. Hmm. Okay, now I don't want to put a link for Twisted Monk. And if I am not mistaken, I think let me see. We put a link for the Posh because I want to say that they just put out it's under exotic ropes, maybe. Okay, I don't know if they still have. Okay, they still have some in stock. I've kind of been contemplating getting this just because I've never seen it before, and I am a raven, and I don't have any rope right now. I don't own any rope, so I'm very tempted to get this. But Twisted Monk just put out like pink posh rope, and it looks really cool. It's limited edition, so if you want to like get it now, and yeah, Twisted Monk is good stuff. They also have electroconductive rope. I forgot about that. I didn't mention it. I think they also have cotton as well. So if you like electroplay and you want to try some bondage and kind of branch into that, that's a really good option. Hmm. And by the way, if you have asked a question, please do not repeat it right away. I do answer questions in order. So if I haven't gotten to yours yet, it's because I'm working my way through the chat. When we have about like 10, 15 minutes left, I will give everyone a heads up and allow people to ask questions again just in case I did miss something by mistake. But if you ask the same question multiple times, it just makes it harder for me to get through everything because I'm gonna like notice that you've asked multiple times, you know? And if it's like a bunch in a row, like 3 or 4 times, and it's actually spam, then I am just gonna skip over you because I do not want to reward that behavior. Because I know how to solve brats. So Cicero said, I've never dated someone who's into the same things as me. I like both S&M as a switch, but more light stuff for my partner, and I hate my hair pulled and being choked unless it's a choke chain, I think is the word. Oh gosh, okay. Oh no, last part was in the chat. No, go back. Go back. Ah. Everyone making fun of me saying asphyxiation wrong. Oh, where was I? Oh gosh, okay. Found it, found it, found it. No, wait, no, it was a different comment. Okay. I actually found it this time, I promise. So, yeah, I know. I mean, it can be difficult to find people that are into exactly the same things that you're into, but there are totally people like that are out there. I have a very sensitive scalp. I have a lot of memories as a kid where, my mom would do my hair cuz I people don't know this if they haven't been on my channel for a long time. I used to have very short hair, and I had very short hair from basically 13 until 23, 24. But when I was a kid, I had very long hair, and now I have very long hair. And so when my mom would do my hair and do all of the crazy 90s hairdos with like double ponytails and pigtails and everything. I have a lot of memories of just like almost crying when my mom was doing my hair because my scalp was so sensitive. And so I do some hair pulling with people that I know and trust really well, that I can communicate with really, really well, but it's definitely not something I do with everyone, which is so stupid because it's not really stupid, but it seems stupid because people think that limit or preferences should be for like big things, right? Like triggers and stuff like that. But it can also be like, hey, my skin's really sensitive. Like I have a skin disorder that means that like I'm really sensitive in these areas, or if I have eczema or my scalp's really sensitive or whatever. All of those things are totally legit reasons to have weird boundaries around stuff or have different preferences for things. But there's totally people that are into like lighter BDSM, and I would say the majority of people that I meet, especially on like dating websites instead of like kink websites, if they're kinky, they are like kind of on the lighter side, which isn't bad, but that's the majority of people, like when you think about it at the end of the day. Mm. Yes, I am really doing a video on tickle torture soon. That is one of the things that sorry, combine my answer to the question there. Hi, Evie. Are you really doing a video on tickle torture soon? That's one of the things I am really interested in topping for. Yes, I am doing a video on tickle torture. I started to research it last week and it blew my mind because there's so much historical stuff for tickle torture that I had no idea about. It's actually like it was more well known than I thought it was when I couldn't find anything when I looked for like tickling BDSM play, but when I changed that to tickle torture kink, for some reason that combination of keywords popped up, all the stuff I needed, and oh, sorry. I was really surprised by how much there was out there, and so it's actually become more of a project than I was expecting, but I'm not going to film it for this week, but hopefully the week after that I am going to film that because I want to have as much time as I need to like really get that all in detail because there is so much. It blew my mind. I had no idea. Mm. Does anyone else here have TMJ? I have advice for easing the pain for things like blowjobs and gags. Yes. So this is a question we have answered many times in the live stream. It is a very common problem. One, you use gags that don't open your mouth very wide. So ball gags generally will open your mouth kind of as wide as your jaw can go. And if you have a tight jaw and bigger teeth, it's going to be very difficult to comfortably wear a ball gag. So don't go for a ball gag. Don't go for like dildo gags, things like that that have larger insertable pieces. I would look at things like bit gags or bar gags. So usually like a shorter piece of metal or wood that'll go in the mouth like like a horse bit, and that will open your jaw less, and so put less pressure on those muscles, which typically will be less activating of your TMJ than other things would be. And technically, just for the record, the TMJ is the muscle. TMD is the disorder that describes having like chronic pain and issues in that area, if I remember correctly. So, and I don't personally have TMJ. I do clench. I like clench my jaw, and I actually have daytime like teeth grinding issues, which I think was mostly related to my last job because I was very stressed out like all the time. But I'm just always now I'm stressed out now for different reasons. So I have something that's kind of related to that and does like cause like residual jaw pain as a result, but it's not identical to that. And going for a narrower gag or like a bandana or something else in the mouth. And by bandana in the mouth, I don't mean like there are people who will do something called stuffing, which is where you stuff either like panties or a bandana in the mouth and then usually put like a tape gag over the mouth. That's very dangerous for obvious reasons, such as actual choking. I don't mean like that. I mean getting a long bandana where you tie in a knot like behind the head and you have the bandana in the mouth. that will absorb your saliva though, so be careful with that because it can give you really bad dry mouth. So different problem there. Uh, but if you want to like treat the pain long term, obviously you would need to discuss options with your dentist or your orthodontist, wherever it is that's noticing this problem and has, brought it to your attention. You would have to talk to them about long term solutions. There are certain types of massage you can do that will help alleviate some of the pain in the muscles. You can also do things, you can actually get Botox injected into your, I think it's metatar muscle, and that can help relax your jaw if you clench a lot and things like that, and that can make it a little bit less painful. But the results from that will vary from person to person, and it can be very expensive, and it may not necessarily help with your exact issue because everyone reacts to it differently. I have had friends that have had that done that have said that it literally changes their life. So those are some other options for kind of longer term solutions, but you can't really like stretch your jaw the way that you can stretch your hamstrings, for example. You can't like make your mouth do the splits. That's not a thing that you can do. You're kind of your jaw size, your teeth size, all of that is kind of set the way that it is. And so I wouldn't force yourself to do things that don't feel comfortable for you and are making your condition worse. And it's more about finding ways to work around that, right? Like you don't have to deep throat to do a blow job, right? You don't have to keep this. You just everyone listening, please. Asexual sex advice is happening. You do not have to deep throat to give somebody a blowjob, right? There are other alternatives there. Some people really like having their taint licked. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Some people like having their balls licked. That's technically, in my brain at least, I don't know, still a blowjob. So you may not have to do anything that actually involves completely opening your mouth at all, depending on how creative you are and what your partner likes. But there are alternatives that are not going to force you to do something that is making your condition worse. But there are options, definitely. Hopefully that helped. That was kind of a ramble. Mm. Yes, good point, Mary Netall. Avoid alcohol and drugs if doing even basic ties. Just one drink can still cause enough impairment to make a critical mistake. Yes, very, very true. Unless it is under very particular pre negotiated conditions with a trusted partner, I never recommend mixing drugs of any kind, other than obviously prescribed ones from your doctor, with doing BDSM, but bondage in particular. Because you have to be so exact with what you're doing. I have seen those shoes. The Demonia Creeper 222. I think I've seen that one. I don't have a completely categorical or what's the word for it? Like a catalog in my brain of every. Oh, I remember these. I remember looking at them, and at first I thought it was like a clown nose. Yeah, I thought these were a clown nose at first, and I was like, oh, it's a ball gag. I feel like they have a pair of heels that are similar as well. Let me look this up. Ball gag heels. Oh yeah, yeah, they do. The Flamingo 809s, I think. They're open toes for sure. Oh, thank you so much, PP. Yeah, open. I don't really wear open-toed shoes though, but those are cute. If they made them in patent leather is fine. I do prefer like a solid faux leather. But if they made those in like a solid faux leather instead of a patent leather, I would totally get those for sure. Not that I need any more fetish clothing at this point, but you know, if it's a special occasion, why not? Thank you so much, Rain. I appreciate you hanging out. It is a big dumpling. I just watched your rope play video and clearly forgot everything, but no, I didn't mean rigging. Also, my city's gonna have IRL munches soon, so look into that. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, definitely, Alex. Hopefully you have fun. And I would be very surprised if you go to the munch and nobody there does rope. It's very common and very popular. I used to be super oblivious to being hit on. I just thought people were being nice. That sounds about right. Okay. I'm going to move on to the last bun, which is the brown sugar bun. Mmm. I'm not sure I'm getting the brown sugar flavor. I may need to like re-steam these because they're kind of hard. Because I got them like an hour before the live stream. I don't know if maybe they're just hard because they were overworked or because they're dry at this point. It's called a sugar corner? Oh. What is the opinion for that? Okay, so it's I don't know how to pronounce this. It's tang with a rising tone and then gal with like a with a up and down with an up and down tone. Sorry, I don't know how to speak any variety of Chinese whatsoever. But I appreciate knowing what it's called. Okay, the answer should be that I should steam it. Okay, I will save it for later then. There's a bird. Hello, bird outside my house. Where are you going? What is your plan? Goodbye, bird. My birthday is on the 5th. My birthday is not actually today. Have you been to Ruby Beach? It's near Kalalak and the whole rainforest. I have no idea where that is. In the whole planet, actually. Oh, okay. This is the Olympic National Park. I haven't actually. I remember I really haven't been to the peninsula that much, actually, which is kind of surprising. But I've never been there. But I'll have to. Is that where they filmed Twilight? Is that where they did the Twilight, the cliff jumping scene? But no, I haven't been there. But I wanted to go out to the peninsula, but I haven't been there that often. It always seems like a very fun place to be. Very pretty. Recommendations for newbies to the Dom sub lifestyle. That's a great question. That is extremely vague. So I would love to help you, but what sort of recommendations are you looking for? Do you mean types of play, how to get started, where to meet people, basic things that you should know before you do it, how to negotiate, how to find your particular role in your style, how to get into headspace, how to make a scene? What do you want to know? Because there is so much information for newbies. It helps to have a particular goal or area that you are most curious about. I know, Bennett is so sad. She is currently curled up in the corner with her head smushed against my dresser. So, not only has it been incredibly hot out, but she's been on anti-inflammatories for like 2.5 weeks now, I think. And her leg is still bothering her. I'm not supposed to take her out on long walks, like anything more than like 5 minutes at once. So what I'll do is in the evening after the sun goes down and it's cooler, we have a little grassy dog area in my apartment, and I'll just let her wander around there for a couple minutes after it gets dark outside, and then right before I go to bed, I'll go back out with her, and we'll also go wander around and be just outside for a little bit, and that's usually about as much roaming freely. You know, she gets to wander around the house and stuff like that, but it's not the same as being outside. And I really wish I could take her on walks and help her just have a happier dog life right now, but I don't. It's it's something that takes a lot of patience because I don't want to make things worse. But for some reason, because of COVID and the summertime, it is so busy and so like it took like almost 2 weeks for me to even get her in to see the vet in the first place. And now trying to schedule surgery is like a whole other kit and caboodle, as they say. And it's just really frustrating. Because I want her to be able to heal and recover and be able to have a nice time going outside and enjoying the sunshine. And she just can't right now, and it's so sad. Poor baby. What are your thoughts on long distance DS relationships and happy birthday? So I think my general opinion of here, my foot's falling asleep. So my general opinion of long distance DS relationships is that they are totally doable. Here, I'm just gonna fucking move around and shit. Okay. No, need to be closer. Screaming. Okay. There we go. That's better. So, my general opinion of long distance DS is it's totally doable. It can work for some people, not for everyone. It's very individual. Some people need that in-person energy, interaction, face-to-face, physical contact for DS to really work for them. For other people, doing it online totally works. I am definitely in the former category where DS for me is very much an in-person, real-life experienced thing. I can do role play online. That's a different thing. And I think that when you're doing online DS, you have to have a lot of trust in the other person. They're not just treating it as like a fun, sexy role play, and they are actually intending to act out like punishments, for example. And it's not just, it's not just like playing house with somebody. It's actually genuinely wanting to have a relationship, not just having writing your own fanfic about your favorite, online, your online persona or whatever. And that I think is a difficult part, especially when you are trying to find people online. I think it's different when you have a relationship that starts in person and then because of life happening, you end up having to go online and become long distance for a period of time. I think that's a different scenario. But when it starts online and stays online, it can be a little bit trickier to have it be truly real on both sides. And I think that's the challenge because it's very easy to role play along with acting at doing DS and playing pretend and being like, oh yeah, daddy, please punish me. And, lying about completing certain things that are part of your rules or part of your daily requirements, lying about doing self-punishments, just getting catfished in general. There's a lot of holes that can kind of happen when you're doing long distance, or in this case, more in particular, online-based DS that starts online and stays online as opposed to, again, real-life relationships that go long distance is different. And I am not necessarily sure how to overcome those barriers other than like being on video as often as possible and really, really making sure you trust somebody and know them well before you engage in DS. And that's why I have videos about like how to spot a fake submissive, how to spot a fake dom, because where those things pop up a lot is when people are trying to find long distance DS or find long distance relationships, and people try to take advantage of that. And I wouldn't, I don't know, I have complicated feelings about it. I don't think I personally would do like long distance DS. It doesn't really work with my brain, which kind of makes it hard for me to give advice about it because I haven't, because it's not for me, I haven't necessarily put in a lot of mental effort. I don't have the physical experience to know exactly about how to make it work other than just like simple role play stuff. But I guess that's my thoughts, that's my opinions. And I'm sure there are people in the chat, which feel free to talk about this if you have, that have successful long-term, long-distance DS relationships, and they figured out a lot of great ways to make that work. There's just so much that's missing when you don't have a genuine physical element that it's almost like they're two different things. Like having real life in-person DS is a different experience from having online DS. And I think you can have a strong preference for one over the other, and one of those may speak to you, and the other one might not. Have you heard of the Cat's Lair in Houston? If so, what's your opinion? Okay. I usually have to remind people of this like twice a month. I am not going to tell you about particular dungeons anywhere. I'm not going to give you my particular opinion on dungeons anywhere. This is on a public platform. It's on YouTube. Anyone can watch this, including, I don't know, police, people that want to report private BDSM venues to the Vice Squad or whatever the hell, you know, who knows. So I do not either recognize or ask or answer questions about any particular BDSM venue. If it is a publicly advertised convention, that is one thing because they are advertised, they are out there, and they are hosted at regular ass convention centers and hotels and stuff. So, and also they're temporary. So I don't know. I don't live in Houston. If you ask me about any fucking random BDSM venue in the whole US, I have 98% of the time not been there and do not have an opinion anyways. So if you want to know an opinion about a place, be part of your local community, ask people directly. Sometimes places will even have Google reviews, which is kind of weird. If they do have a FetLife page, kind of examine what sorts of content they have on there, who follows them. Is it 99% dick pics and blank profiles and people looking for gangbangs, or is it actual, like, real people with real profiles, you know? That'll give you a little bit of a sense. And also, is it like, I don't know, drunk karaoke night with Bob the Rigger? Or is it, I don't know, Catalyst or rope bondage experience? Like, what are the events called? What are they about? What's the focus? And that's sort of how I evaluate dungeons. If I'm looking at one. And do the pictures on the profile seem more like advertising club nights with women get in free, cover charge $10? Or is it like $25 a ticket, volunteers, half off, you know? And by God, do they have gendered pricing structures? Because if they do, I give that one a hard miss, personally. Okay. Give me a second. I'm going to steam the bun. And I will be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. And we will keep answering questions. So don't go anywhere. Ta-da! We're back. See, it wasn't gone that long, was I? Okay, I turned my fan off also. It is blissfully quiet right now. It is amazing. No children screaming, no fan blaring in my ears. So peaceful to be alone with my own thoughts. just had to enjoy that for a second. Okay, really good question from Teddy Tiger. Not an odd question, a good question. Do you think impact play can be dangerous if you're really bony? My ass and hips are mostly skin and bone, and when my BF hip hits the bone, it hurts hella. I love that. So, the answer in general is always yes. Any kind of impact play can be dangerous if it's done poorly, regardless of the composition of your body. You know, if you hit the spine, the top of the neck, the kidneys, joints, that can all be dangerous for various reasons. I would say if you are hitting, from the back and it's landing on the pelvis or the thigh bone, it will be painful because hitting the bone is generally painful. But unless they're going really hard with like a metal baseball bat or, I don't know, a rebar or something, it would be very unlikely that they would break the bone versus breaking the skin, causing bleeding and really intense bruising. It depends on where they hit and this is angle and things like that. But the actual your femur bone, so the bone in your thigh, is literally the strongest bone in your body. You would have to do some pretty amazing shit as an actual top that's playing anywhere inside most people's ethical boundaries to actually break that bone. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but more than likely it'll hurt really intense before it actually gets to a dangerous place. That being said, though, even if it's not necessarily risking, and also like the back and stuff is kind of complicated because if you are hitting on the butt, right, you might be hitting on the tailbone, you might be hitting on areas that are uncomfortable that are generally, you don't want. Like any of your tailbone and stuff can also be very fairly easy to damage, but your actual like femur area like that, that's like a pretty like solid piece of the body, so it's going to be more painful than anything, unless you're doing some really really extreme impact play. That being said, though, even if it's uncomfortable, you still probably don't want to play in that area. So if you are finding that impact play in that area is uncomfortable for you because you're really bony, my suggestion is to either change the type of impact play you're doing to be more precise so it doesn't get onto the bone, or to try a different part of the body. So I'm also really bony myself. Since I started lifting weights and things like that, I do have like more muscle that's like protecting a lot of that more delicate parts of the body, so it is less uncomfortable than it was a couple years ago. But I would say that generally speaking, using things like crops or spanking where you can be really precise and hit like more in particular the meatier parts of the butt area or the upper thighs is going to be way better than flogging, for example, or even like a wide paddle where you are just by the nature of the type of play you're doing, you're going to end up hitting a little bit of the bonier parts eventually at some point over the course of the scene. So if you want to avoid that, don't do that kind of play where the intensity is spread out over a larger area or things could wrap. Just try a different technique. You can also do similar things to the upper back. Of course, I don't know what your body looks like or where your fat is distributed or whatever else. But if you're only really bony around your butt and that's like the big problem area, you may have more luck on the sort of upper shoulder area, right? Kind of where that whole upper back, like you don't want to hit the spine, right? You don't want to hit the neck. But if you avoid that, you have pretty good real estate up there where you can do things like flogging, things that do take up more surface area that maybe on the butt is uncomfortable for you. You can also do things on the top of the thigh as well. If you want to completely change direction, you can do things where you are hitting the top of the thigh. Obviously, you want to avoid the genitals, you want to avoid the kneecaps, but you can also play in that area too. And even if you're bony on your backside, you will usually have more protection on the front side of your thighs. That can be more intense. That can be a harder form of play, especially because you are more likely to be in a position where you can see the strikes actually happening, which can make things more psychologically intense, even if not physically. But there are options for sure. Hmm. Do you know, or have you ever talked about, if a study or poll has been made on how many people in the world are really interested in BDSM but suppress it because it's so problematic in this world? I can't think of any study off of the top of my head that looks at that question where you're evaluating total number of people that have an interest in BDSM versus people that don't do it in particular because of how the outside world thinks about it. There are studies that have looked at number of people that have interest in BDSM activities versus people that have actually done it before. And that you can kind of draw an inference from, that some of those people are going to not do it because of their own internalized bias or fear or social pressure or their relationship not being positive about kink stuff. But I don't think I've ever seen anything that asked that in particular. But that would be an interesting question to know. And obviously, you'd have to be careful about survey design, the nature of the people you actually ask. Is it demographically something that makes a good cross section of the BDSM world? There would be survey design you'd have to do for that, but it is possible. Somebody has taken my any question prompt. So here's one: popcorn, no butter, light butter, or all the butter? What do I like for popcorn? I don't know. I'd probably say light butter, but I don't really have popcorn when I go to the movie theater, so I don't know. If it's movie theater popcorn, I don't know. But if I am making popcorn at home or those microwavable popcorn bags, I usually get light butter. Sometimes the butter can be like overwhelming. Like it's like too much. And I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, please stop. You are being too extra for my mouth, please. Was that an innuendo? I don't know. Probably. The mic is distorting because I have a noise canceling software that runs. So I don't know if I can fully. Maybe I can do this for a second, just so you guys can hear what it would sound like if I didn't have the noise canceling software enabled. We're gonna see how that sounds. Give me a second. This is how it would sound. Can you, does that sound like a fun sensory experience? And that's with only one of the fans on. You can get much louder than that. That was my torture for the evening. You're all very welcome. It's my birthday. I can torture people if I want to. I also had the mic sensitivity turned down as well. If that was like actually at full volume, it's bad. Trust me, I tested it. Not good. Now you guys get to hear the soft chewing sounds of me eating a bun. I'd argue that there are more people that aren't out about doing BDSM Then there are people that are afraid of the stigma and therefore don't do it at all. A lot of people who do BDSM aren't public about it. True. I always say this because people don't realize, but most people that do BDSM, it's like a twice a year special birthday anniversary spicing things up in the bedroom kind of a deal where it's very contained. It's pretty much only sexual and it's not something that goes into the rest of the relationship. It's a very cosmopolitan magazine kind of a thing. And that's fine. No shame, no shade. But it's a very different experience from people that do BDSM as a lifestyle and want to have BDSM partners and have that be a focus of their life, of their relationships. And I think that gives people a very skewed perspective on BDSM. And I think it's important to remember that what I'm talking about and what people like me do is a very small segment of everything else. Oh, thank you so much, Kaya. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yes, oh my gosh, great example, marionette doll. If it's a woman and her outfit has pockets, compliment the pockets. Almost guarantee that they'll be raving about it for the next 5 minutes. That is true. Hey, you guys want to know something? These have pockets. Look at this. Pockets. They got like, they're good pockets too. They're like whole hand pockets. I could fit a hot pocket in my pockets. Not that I would do that, not this material. But if I wanted to put a hot pocket or burrito in this pocket, I could do that, okay? Revolutionary. Mmm. Aw, I just had to go feed my leopard gecko. That's fun. I took him out and he was just sitting for a minute watching the stream. That's so sweet. Hello, gecko. Oh, somebody else has a bearded dragon too. Let's watch. That's funny. That's funny. I've heard that about birds also. Birds like hanging out. We just like animals here in the channel. We love dogs, cats, lizards, octopi, fish, reptiles, birds, bunnies, whatever. We like hanging out. Interesting point. I feel like many vanilla relationships tend towards being a double switch relationship. If a double switch BDSM relationship is harder, is it because they are more self-aware of their needs, desires? Um, I don't think it's a self-awareness thing. And I would argue there's a difference between a double switch relationship and a vanilla relationship, other than the fact that, one's BDSM and one's not. I can see the similarity. What I think happens in vanilla relationships is a power struggle. And the opening part of Living MS by Dan and Don Williams, always recommend that book. Great read if you like anything in that direction or DS in general, honestly, not even MS in particular. They talk about how in vanilla relationships, there is typically this power struggle that happens where it tends to be a very passive aggressive kind of way of trying to be the one that's in control of the relationship, right? Like, they leave a sock on the floor, so in the morning you don't put your coffee cup away in the dishwasher. And then when they come home, they slam the door really loudly, so then you play loud music. Like, there's this very subtle back and forth of trying to be like, well, actually, I'm the one that's in control. I'm the one that's kind of steering this relationship and talking about who wears the pants in the relationship, who's the man in the relationship. And that is different from being self aware and being a switch because there is a power struggle, but it's articulated. And I think in vanilla relationships, it tends to not be. And it's very passive. It's very passive aggressive, even, where that's part of the game of like heterosexual dating and, you know, other to some extent other types of relationships as well, but in particular with heterosexual relationships, it's very understated, it's not talked about, and it's part of the and gendered struggle for who's in control of the relationship. Whereas with switches, it's about we are trying to determine who is going to top and bottom right now. And this is fun, this is for play, this is negotiated. We're aware of what's happening. We're going into this consciously, and it's part of our negotiation process to have this, you know, switch fight thing that can happen where we're both vying for power and seeing who is going to, you know, blink first, submit first, whatever else. And I think those two things are different. And I think that whether or not you are dom, sub, switch, bottom, top, whatever else, I think that all of those require a similar level of self awareness of needs and desires. And I think all of those types of relationships require more self awareness of needs and desires than a vanilla one does. And this is not to say that vanilla people can't be self aware or aren't self aware, because it's not the case. But when you are playing around with things like power and control, you need to have that awareness. You need to have that communication. And when you are following the status quo of relationships, what is normal, what is demonstrated by society, what you grow up having a million examples of, you can coast in a way that you can't with DS. I hope that makes sense. But I like the thought. I think that's a good thing to think about. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. So this is everyone's kind of last opportunity. Ask your questions, and I will get to as many of them as I can. All right, let's see. Where were we? I know I'm very, very behind in the chat. Try my best to get to the top here. Oh gosh. Okay. Thank you all again so much for the birthday wishes and hanging out with me today. Is the torture thing for historical BDSM in general or exclusively tickling? No, I was talking about tickle torture with the historical president, and it hasn't always been like a BDSM thing. Like it was like legit torture apparently. Oh no. Oh no. I scrolled too far and now I can't get to the top of the chat. I have missed people's questions. I am so sorry. We're at the part where we're talking about Twisted Monk. So I think I know. And I missed like 20 minutes of comments. I think I'm so sorry. Okay, so I didn't answer Tiny's questions about boniness. Uh, so I'm gonna count that one as done, unless you missed it, in which case rewind because I answered that one. It has been answered. Have you considered covering the William Control allegations? Yes, I have. It is on my to-do list of many. I know people are like, "Oh, cover the Cackerel Manor stuff." Cover, yeah. I have the chateau. I have, let's see, William Control, John Warren, Franklin Vo, Michael Malachi, Ariel Scarcella for that matter. I have to do Army Hammer updates. I have to do Cataphor updates. There's like a lot of shit to cover, and like it's very. First of all, those require a lot of research. They are very mentally intense, and they take a long time to film. And I'm kind of dedicated to like the Marilyn Manson stuff in particular right now. So most of my energy that goes towards that type of video is going into Marilyn Manson stuff at the minute because it is something I'm already working on. And unless I'm missing something, every other YouTube channel that is doing updates on Marilyn Manson related allegations are all pro Marilyn Manson. And I find that infuriating, to be honest, because they do like news comes out, they do a 2-hour long live stream where they laugh at victims and then say, "Isn't it so stupid? Why didn't she just leave the relationship?" She's saying that she met him originally in 2010, but here she is taking a picture with him in 2013. She was really being abused. She wouldn't have taken a picture with him. And it's like, oh my God, nobody here is trauma informed about literally anything. I want to stab myself through the eyeballs. It's annoying. The fourth lawsuit for Marilyn Manson just came out not that long ago. I think it was literally a day or two ago. So I am working on a video for that that'll be up in a couple of weeks because I really like just the fact that like you can literally go to the interviews that have been done with Ashley Morgan, both the one from People magazine and the one that was just done with The View on ABC, and the comments on those are horrifying. Like the top comments are all like, "Women like this are why real victims like me can't get justice." And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't think of anything that is more disgusting on this planet than a victim of SA telling another victim of SA that their assault isn't valid or isn't worth talking about or is fake. Because if you were a public figure that had to publicly speak about your assault, people would be saying the same fucking thing to you. And wouldn't that feel shitty? Wouldn't that feel awful? Wouldn't it feel disgusting that the people think that they know your truth more than you do? Gross. Absolutely just it makes me angry. And people like it's like filled with like hashtag end me too, hashtag justice for Marilyn Manson, women like this are liars, just absolutely the worst fucking shit ever. And the one thing they're really on right now is the most recent thing that came out, which was an interview with Ashley Morgan Smithline, was they had an interview where, like, I swear, 70% of the comments were people saying that we all know that you're really a liar. And it's because apparently, one time on Instagram, in a story, she posted a photo of bruises that were from Pinterest. And it was a series of like, literally, if you look at the picture, she has like 40 stories that day. It is intense. And I wasn't there to watch it personally, but I have seen screenshots of things from that day. And I talked to people that saw it when it was live. And she was talking about like abuse in general and like signs of abuse in general. She didn't ever claim it was her bruises or her picture. And people were so fucking mad about it. They were like, this isn't a real picture of your abuse. Therefore, everything you've ever said, and including your entire lawsuit, is now a lie. And it's like, there were 40 fucking pictures in there. Like, it was just an example. Why is everyone convinced this means everything this woman's ever said is a lie? And they critique how she says stuff. They critique, like, oh, she seems really drugged up. And it's like, she literally has OCD, you fucking heathens. Like, she is probably, like, it is a normal trauma response to have very slowed speech, to be like it's either one in the realm of a normal trauma response, or two, she may actually be on like fairly heavy duty anxiety medication, because it turns out being interviewed by people on national television to talk about your fucking assault is kind of a stressful thing to do, and maybe having a little bit of Xanax makes that easier. Who would have guessed? That doesn't make her a fucking liar, you weirdos. I just, the fact that we live in a society where like after everything that's ever happened, people still think that way, and people still say shit about like, oh, Rose McGowan, people say the weirdest things. They literally put so many words in Rose McGowan's mouth, it blows my mind. I had a comment from the other day where somebody was like, wait a second, so Rose McGowan, basically the leader of the Me Too movement, isn't supporting the women that are against Marilyn Manson? Doesn't that seem kind of suspicious? And it's like, okay, Rose McGowan literally said that she was not personally abused by Marilyn Manson, but she still is supporting the people coming forward. That's all that happens. Oh, she didn't say the women were liars. She didn't say that she excuses everything. The rest of the person says is that they were like, oh, so that means Rose McGowan is excusing everything that Marilyn Manson's ever done. That's not what happened. She just said she was not personally abused by Manson, but believes and supports the women coming forward. That is an entirely typical response because, as far as we can tell from the timeline, the majority of Marilyn Manson's abusive behavior didn't start until after the end of his relationship with Dita Von Teese because apparently that fundamentally broke him in some way. Also, his coke habit probably got a lot worse, and extended drug use tends to do weird things to your brain. But yeah, people are just. Or, like, I'll have a whole video about Marilyn Manson where I do not mention Evan Rachel Wood at all. And people will comment, Evan Rachel Wood is a liar. And I'm like, great, but that doesn't matter because Evan Rachel Wood was not in this video at all. So, congrats. Anyways, I'm not gonna rant about that anymore because it's boring and no one cares. But, yep. And the very, 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 very long conclusion to this is yes, I would cover the William Control allegations, but I am trying because I try not to do more than like 2 videos a month that are like very news, current event, allegation focused because I know a lot of people are here mostly for the BDSM. And I will do one for sure eventually, but there's like I gotta talk about the wolf still. What's like the next? Honestly, I think the next big project I'm gonna do because it ties into the Cataphor story is I'm gonna write about the wolf, who was a very well known public BDSM figure on FetLife actually that had false allegations against him. Went to court. I mean, it was an entire full shit show. What about nylon rope? Actually, yeah, you know what? I have gotten MFP from Agreeable Agony before, and I have enjoyed that just fine. Um, the problem I have with nylon rope is it slips more, so it can be a little bit more fiddly to work with because it doesn't grip on itself as much, which can be good for some applications but not good for others. It does also have more of a skin burning to it, and that can be beneficial if you like that sensation. It can also be not very fun if you don't like it. So, depends on what you want from the experience. And I also I'm also talking about floor work. There are some I know self suspenders that use I don't know if they use like nylon or if they use something that's just a non-natural fiber. There's Posh and Hempex and stuff, but I'm talking about the stuff that's like shiny. I want to say the Lou Rubens who does. I can't speak to if that is within typical usage for nylon or if that makes sense from a risk perspective, I guess. Electroconductive rope, isn't that called steel cable? Well, in this case, it's metallic threads that are woven into bamboo. Like, not like bamboo, like a stick of bamboo, but bamboo, like bamboo fiber rope. But technically, yes, if something is entirely metal, then it is electroconductive. Unless it's a metal, it's non reactive, in which case it's not gonna work. Anyways, an Insta store called Shop Fox Toys is a beautiful double bladed wooden knife. Do I know that store? I'm gonna have to. Sorry. I can copy and paste. I'm an adult. No, not Ruby Beach. That name is just Shop Fox Toys. Ooh, they have really nice horsehair. I don't like the turned wood ends for floggers though. Me personally. Interesting. I will check them out though. I don't see they have a link to like a shop or something. I just see the Instagram page. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. Anyways, they'll investigate that later. Does tickle torture usually edge into desperation or denial? It can. I think most people tend to enjoy it as its own sensation, though, which is more of like a helplessness of not being able to escape the sensation, but we will talk about that when I make the video on it. How about that? Mmm. A very happy birthday to you. Would you ever do a video on BDSM and disability? I have actually. You should search my channel. I have several videos where I have talked about neurodiversity and disability and kink. It is a good thing to know about and talk about, and I have done so on multiple occasions. We haven't heard the noisy motorcycle tonight. They usually only come out after it's dark, and it's not dark yet. But I am watching for them. Usually they come about at like 9 o'clock or so right now. How to get started in a Dom sub relationship. I'm a sub. I've been to an in person munch, going to a second one soon. Well, it sounds like you are on the right path. Definitely going to public events and munches is going to be a good way to meet people. Don't jump into anything too quickly. Just meet people, make friends. I would be careful about advertising too much. You're like, hey, I'm a brand new sub and I want a Dom, because that tends to attract the very wrong kind of person. But you're on the right path for doing stuff. And I think just getting out there, meeting people, kind of having your first scenes, going to classes, discussion groups, all that stuff is going to be how you meet people that you want to play with and have relationships with. So you are doing the right thing, John. All right. Gonna skip to the bottom here real quick like. And just gonna catch up on the chat here. I know I had to miss a lot of stuff, but it just happens that way sometimes. Mm. Oh. Okay, so I think World of Dawn asked a question. I'm gonna try and get to that really quickly because I see part of it and maybe this isn't it. I've been giving consent to top one of my male play partners, but he keeps saying no to everything. I think he's expecting something sexual and don't really want to dominate that way. I just wish he would trust me, see that BDSM can be good without sex. Well, I think you know the answer here already, which is if you think he expects something sexual but don't know it yet, and he keeps saying no, I think there's a conversation you have to have about, hey, I know that we talked about me topping you, but you keep saying no to my ideas, so can you tell me what you're expecting and you want to get out of this? Because if you don't want what I'm offering, then like this isn't gonna work. So you have to be on the same page about what you both want. And be honest about like, you want to be able to show them that BDSM can be fun even when it's non-sexual. I think that will ultimately help you get to where you want to go. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Nexium's another one too. God, there's just like how many people fuck up with BDSM related things all at the same time. There's too many goddamn things going on here. Okay, this is gonna be the last question, and then I swear we're gonna wrap up because I would like to finish doing my laundry. Okay, so Teddy Tiger, who's been on a roll tonight, FYI, said, "How do you mentally prepare for going more intense with play? I'm very mentally and physically fragile, and my huge muscle ape of a BF wants to be rough, and so do I, but I don't want to cry or break mentally or physically." I think the intention that you go into things with is very important, and the energy you want to have in that scene is very important. And I think people associate being rough with being mean. And that by being rough, you are going to provoke feelings of being broken down, of crying, of embarrassment, of humiliation, of helplessness, of hopelessness, of things kind of in that family. However, very important. This is gonna be mind blowing. You can be rough and be tender. You can be rough and be kind. You can be rough and you can be loving. You have to find the right combination of things that go along with rough to get to that mental headspace that will allow you to, rather than feeling fragile, will help you feel empowered, connected, bonded, uplifted, seen, cared for, whatever vibe you're going for. You can combine those two things together to get to that headspace where it's not about you feeling fragile and broken down and crying, but about the connection you have. And I would say my very favorite scenes I have had is when you have the intersection between caring and intensity or bonding and roughness. Those are really, really good. Like I have had, like I'm literally thinking, like I have had really, really good scenes before where somebody is fully on top of me using their full body weight to like push me down onto the ground, and putting their knee like like using, they have like steel-toed boots on, and they're grinding me into the floor with their boots, but it doesn't feel like a crying like fragility thing. It feels a like, wow, this is like really fucking awesome and super cool, and I feel really connected to this person kind of a vibe. And so if you can get to that area, it's a little bit tricky. Obviously, it's going to take negotiation and trying things out, but it totally is possible. And definitely like setting up physical boundaries about what is and is not comfortable for you is okay and should be done, because being rough does not mean having no boundaries or not negotiating. And in fact, everyone I know that does wrestling, rough body play, anything like that, any class I've ever taken on that subject, you have to be very particular with what you do, right? That could be pressure points, that could be punching, spitting, choking, hair pulling, wrestling, twisting your arm, right? Giving you like a friction burn, it could be a million and one different things. And if for example, hey, if you hit me on my butt, that's going to be painful for me because I'm more bony in that area, or my knees are really sensitive, or my scalp is really sensitive and hair pulling doesn't work for me. You can be very particular with the boundaries you set and still engage in the roughness, still engage in that more intense play. The tricky part is going into the mental intensity. So, honestly, personally, I would spend more time like exploring those two things separately before you bring them together in one scene. So, you can be physically intense and be very mentally soft. You can be very mentally intense and physically soft. And I think navigating those two dichotomies on their own, where it's not full intensity of everything all at once, is going to give you more space to process each one of those things and find out, hey, maybe for you, the mental intensity is more overwhelming than the physical intensity. And maybe you can only have one as long as the other is a little bit more softer and more subtle. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But it's a really good question. And obviously, never pressure yourself to do something that you don't feel prepared for. Don't do something because your partner wants it or because you're trying to meet some invisible community expectation of intensity. If you don't want it, you don't have to do it. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Don't feel pressure to do it. BDSM, in its best form, is about finding what makes you and your partners happy together, not about meeting some invisible threshold of intensity, about meeting some invisible expectation of you must be at least this hardcore of a masochist to be a worthwhile bottom. I know that pressure, I understand it. Do not make the mistake of feeling like you have to do that in order to be a real BDSMer, because you don't. Okay. It is 8:15. It is time for me to do my laundry. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me during this birthday stream. This was a lot of fun. I think we answered a lot of interesting questions and we just talked about a bunch of stuff. We had a fun time. We had a good time here. We love that. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I really loved it. We will not be streaming next week because I'm going to be in the woods. So I'm so sorry. But the week, oh, I don't know actually. Will I be, going to be kind of a rough month for the live streams. I, it might actually be the 23rd will be the next time we do a Friday live stream. I will try to make time in between, sometime between the 11th and the 14th before I leave again for my beach trip to maybe do another live stream or try to do something. Maybe I can find a good internet connection somewhere and live stream from my phone or something. I don't know. But it might be a little bit while before we stream again. But we'll make it a good one when it does happen. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and being here. This was a lot of fun. We answered good questions. Thank you all so much for the birthday wishes. Personally, I purchased a pair of Kate Spade shoes that were on sale. That was my birthday gift to myself. Kate Spade shoes that were on sale and then were 40% off on sale on top of that. So I legitimately got a pair of designer shoes that were $200 for $80. And I was like, we love savings. They were like they were these like polka dot sandal heels that are like black and white polka dots. And I have like a shirt and like two dresses, a bunch of stuff that would like I literally have like 5 outfits that would go really well with those shoes. They're super cute. They're very kind of pin-uppy but kind of modern, so they go with a lot of outfits. And I think they're gonna be really cute. And I was like, yes, worth it. I've never bought designer anything before, so this is like I just happened to look at these shoes online and I was like, oh, they're so expensive. They're $200. And then I went to their website and they had my size on sale, on sale. And I was like, oh, we're doing this. $80 is like almost the normal price of like regular shoes at DSW. So it seemed worth it to me. Okay, guys. Anyways, rambling over. Have a good night. Have a good 4th of July. Stay safe. As they say, have a safe and sane 4th of July. That's where that phrase comes from. Safe, sane, and consensual. Safe and sane 4th of July. Live it, love it, learn it. All right. Bye, y'all.